Okay guys, this is just, I was doing a battle last night and that's why it's on my verse recorder this time, alright? It's an OU against Ave120 off of Game Facts, and I just threw together a random team. Honestly, it had good synergy, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. But he leads off with this Frost. Last night I left my Glasgow. I'm like, great, this thing's gonna kill me with Ice Beam, but I'm not gonna stay in because he's gonna predict me to switch out. So I stay in and do EQ, and it turns out he was scarfed, so yeah. And I do get the EQ off, and I take him less than half, and then he switches in Brown Song. I switch in Berlin. I burn him before he gets his light screen up. Then I just go for a flamethrower because, you know, what the hell, right? And then he gets off a reflect, and then I use Will-O-Wisp predicting the switch because he's not gonna explode on me, you know. And surprisingly, I hit this thing. I don't know why he's switching in on a Wheezing, but whatever. So I burn that, and then I go for a Thunderbolt, but he switches in Blissey and does like 0 damage. I think it was pretty close to 0 damage. And then I use Pain Split, but it looks like he was running like 0 HP EVs because that thing did nothing. And he uses Aromatherapy. I'm like, oh my god, that sucks. I had 2 guys who was burned, and oh man, that really sucked. And then he switches in his Porygon Z, and it's already 4 guys I've seen now. I don't know why the hell he did that, but I burn him because he's not gonna he wasn't gonna stay in and Aromatherapy again. And I burn him, which didn't matter unless he was a mixed with Sharpen and Return or whatever. And then he uses Tri Attack, and I'm like, well, this is gonna do a lot because it's normal or download and yeah, and it did do a lot, and he did get a crit, and he did burn me. So that's like a 2% chance. I really don't know math, but it was pretty dang low. And I just decided to stay in because at this point I can't set up a sub with this thing, and I can't toxic, and because he's already burned, and you know what the hell, right? So that thing was kind of pointless, but at least light screen wore off, right? So I send in my Dynamis, my Borderline Bird, and I use Double Edge, but he switches in that thing, and then I switch back to Wheezing, who takes the Ice Beam, and I was waiting for the freeze, but it did not happen because I don't know, I usually get frozen, but that time it didn't. And then he switches out to Liberty, who I kind of figured, but I went for T-Bolt because I'm stupid. I don't know, I thought he was going to switch in something else. So I just went for the easy option, T-Bolt. But I go for Flamethrower this time, and I don't kill it, surprisingly. So he gets off a light screen, and I go for the Will-O-Wisp this time. I do go for the Will-O-Wisp this time, because I knew he was going to explode on me. And he did explode, but that Will-O-Wisp really helped me. I got, what's that, like 4 Will-O-Wisps I already hit? That's crazy hacks for me. And it didn't do, it did like 100 damage, which is 120 damage, whatever. Which is crazy, and he tricks his Choice Scarf onto me, and I give him Black Sludge, which is even funnier because I flamethrower him, bring him down to just the part where he would survive if he had lefties, but he has Black Sludge and it kills him. That was probably epic. From now on, Black Sludge and all your poison guys, that's what it can do. Just do it. And I switch out. He switches in Bliss. I switch in Sume, and he uses Toxic, and I'm like, whatever. And I go for the, what the hell did I go for? I went for Stealth Rock this time, because I really wanted to get that up. And I go for U-turn to get barely any damage on it. I'm like, great, this thing's gonna Dragon Dance, but I want to get some damage on it, you know, before I switch out. And he does get a DD up, and I'm just like, great, maybe I can burn this thing, maybe I can survive an Outrage or Dragon Claw, and he outrages me, and I'm like, cool. That's cool, man. Just go for the outrage right away. He's at +1/+1, and he outraged me. And I send in my 2 defensive guys, most defensive, to at least try and survive a hit. And I do survive this hit with this thing. And I use Roost just to kill a turn of outrage. You know, maybe he'll get hacks and get confused on the second turn. But yeah, so his outrage. He just outrages me again, so that's 3 turns now. And I'm just praying. I'm praying he gets confused right here. And he does, because I really need him to get confused. And now I intimidate him, so now he's at, neutral. And then I go for Double Edge. And this thing, double edge, CB double edge actually does a lot to this thing. I was surprised at how much it is. And I predicted him to substitute this time. I predicted him to predict me to switch out, but I just went for double edge because I knew he was going to do substitute, predicting me to switch. Because he thought I think that, I'm sorry, that's confusing, but he thought I think I'd do Thunderbolt, and he did try to sub, which was just epic. Then I just go for another double edge and take him out like nothing. Double edge is way better than return, in my opinion. And yeah, so I just use double edge again. I don't know why that thing wasn't carrying extreme speed. I'd carry extreme speed if I were it. I don't know. Dragonite should carry extreme speed no matter what you're running. And he sends a virus, and I take him out with a double edge. CB stab double edge. And then he switches in the Bliss. He switches in the Bliss. And I want to switch out because I want to save him for close combat. Maybe get a close combat in later. But he goes for a soft board, which I kind of figured he'd do, predicting me to stay in and do double edge. But I wouldn't do that because I'm cooler than that. And this thing is Pawn. I use Dragon Dance, and he was Toxic, and I'm like, oh well, I'm a Rest Sleep Talker. Screw you. Screw you, Blissey. I'm a Rest Sleep Talker. What are you gonna do to me? And he runs, which is really cool. Alright, good game, Ave120. More videos to come. Rate, comment, subscribe, and don't forget the cat. Later, guys.